Hey guys, today review to show a low-cost strategy I've been using for a while now, mainly to farm gold, but it actually makes a good amount of currency as well, which is a bonus. This is a low-cost strat that basically costs about 20 chaos per map in terms of scarabs right now, so it's under 1 divine per map to run, and I make around 1 div in profit per map. Now, when I say low cost, I don't mean low barrier of entry. This is not an entry-level tier 17 strat. If you're already struggling with tier 17s to begin with, this is not a strat for you, unfortunately, because the WISPS can make it a bit hard. I've just run a batch of 30 maps to record this video. I failed three maps in terms of bosses, unfortunately. I just couldn't clear it because sometimes you get like 3 wisps boosting the boss and just very hard to do. Now, what the hell is going on with the strat? Basically, I put some rare mobs on the map. I boost them with Nemesis as well. I put hordes as well, so this could just kind of put more mobs on the map once again. And then the wisps, hopefully boost them all. What the wisps do is tldr, boost the quantity and rarity of the items that drop from the mobs. And there's also the further wisp that boosts certain items drop rates from the mobs, so that's quite nice. In terms of crafting, I put Torment. Look, I haven't experimented much. I think Torment should boost the quantity and rarity of the items that drop as well. So, hey, that's what I've done this with. Maybe you can min-max this a bit. The Atlas looks like this. Once again, pretty standard. Now, so I've taken all the quantity, obviously, and then we also want to take all the scarabs, so we get extra scarabs. I've taken like almost every scarab node that I could. I've taken ambush scarabs. Ambush scarabs are quite expensive right now. Also cartography scarabs. I've taken the tormented spirit node here, so this is going to boost the items to drop further, give you some extra loot. I've also taken beyond. Now, in terms of gold, beyond doesn't give you any more. You can experiment with it if you want. Perhaps you could experiment with adding ritual to your maps instead. Honestly, I'm not sure what's the best here. Beyond works quite well when there's a lot of mobs on the map, so that's going to add some extra loot in terms of eligible currency. However, there's other options as well. I mean, you can just experiment with it. As I said, for example, you can add more rituals on the map. This is just going to add a lot more mobs. It kind of depends if you want to get more currency or you want to get more gold, because Beyond doesn't unfortunately give you that much gold from the Beyond monsters that spawn, but it does drop some Beyond currency, so that's quite nice to have. Otherwise, I've taken Ether, so Ether is what I prefer. It just allows to boost the map a lot more in terms of quantity and rarity. You can run Exile if you prefer, or you just don't like Ether. I mean, it's going to reduce your loot a bit, but I think it's fine in the end. Now let's have a look at the loot I've got. So the loot's a mix of raw currency, fragments, and scarabs, which is to be expected. There isn't a crazy amount of loot here. There's some uniques. I've got this one that's, I think, around the div. But nothing too exciting, I would say, in terms of uniques. But the amount of scarabs that drop per map is quite consistent and quite decent as well. The amount of raw currency I've got is also quite nice, and the fragments. As I said, I failed 3 maps out of 30, so I've actually got a bit fewer fragments than I'd like. So take that into consideration when looking at the profits. I've got, I think, 2 Valdos as well. So that's a bit lower than I'd expect in 30 maps usually, but it's fine. And then I've also got a decent amount of reliquary keys. I don't know if this strat just gives more of them. I've got 2. Maybe you'll get fewer. Just consider that, but they do seem to drop quite consistently. And I've also got 1.7 million gold. So now, about gold, I've not been getting that lucky with altars. There's been a lot of maps where I've got around 50,000 gold. But when I get a map with a good amount of altars, I get upwards up to, I'd say, 80,000, 90,000 from some maps. So consider you could maybe make a bit more gold from these maps. However, I'm just going to use this as a baseline in the calculations I make. So now for the wealthy exile, I've got 58 divs and loot here. A lot of it comes from fragments. So let's have a look at fragments. It's the boss fragments. Then I've got some reliquary keys as well, and the Baldur's puzzle boxes. I've also got some raw currency drop, which is quite expected from these maps. And then I've got quite a lot of scarabs. a lot of these. So I've got quite a lot of containment, for example, and this is not some like a lucky one scarab drop. They seem to drop quite a lot, so that's quite nice to see. Now I'm going to try to liquidate some of the stuff I have here quickly. I'm not going to spend too long here, and then I'm going to go over to the Excel and we can look at the actual numbers and the return on investment and stuff like that. I've spent a few minutes on the currency exchange. I've liquidated some stuff. I've got a few extra divines than I previously said. No, everything is liquidated, so after I do that, I'd expect that probably I'd have around 65 divs. However, I'm not going to assume that number. I'm just going to assume this 61 divs number. I'm also going to assume that we've run 30 maps in the Excel. I've got the Excel. This Excel is a work in progress, but I'm going to update it with the strats from all my videos. Not all the strats are here yet, but yeah, how to use it. I'm talking about WISPS. That's ID number 2. You go to ID number 2, and there you are. Assuming the price of div was 170C, which is at the time of the recording, it cost me 32.7 div to run all these maps. The cost per map was about 1.1 div per map, and I've made 61 divs in revenue. Now, after liquidating, I'd get a bit more. I've liquidated a bit before taking this Excel. After liquidating it fully, it'd probably be about 65. We're not going to consider that. Let's just go with 61 as a number. We get 28 divs in total profit, and the profit per map was about 1 div per map. So if you take 4 minutes to run the map, the profit you'd make would be 14.6 div per hour. If you take 3 minutes, you can swap these numbers as well. Just copy the sheet before, so it will be very close to 20 divs an hour. All depends how quick you are. My build is quite quick. I'll take about 3 minutes per map. However, sometimes the boss takes a bit longer. Sometimes you die. Depending on your build, basically, it can take a bit slower. If you can't clear tier 17s quickly, probably this is not strat for you, because it does rely on running a lot of maps quickly. Now, the return on investment per map is 90%, which is very, very, very good. So the cost, basically what it means is that for each one div you put in, you get 1.9 div out of it, which I consider extremely good return on investment for a tier 17 strategy. The gold in total I made was, I think it was 1.72 million. Anyways, it's 1.7 million for the sake of this Excel. The gold per map, according to this, would be around, I would say, 57,000. Here it's 56xx. As I've mentioned, I got a bit unlucky with bolters. I would expect to get around 60,000 per map if I'd gotten more lucky, but yeah, hey, that's what it is. I don't consider that I've got any lucky drops that significantly would affect this revenue for a different person. Everything that I've got, I think, drops pretty commonly. I've got some unique, I think that costs around div, but it doesn't really matter. And this strat drops a lot of unique, so I think you'd expect something that costs around this after running this batch. Now, what's my conclusion based on this? I think that this is a very good low-cost strat. The return investment is very high, which is nice. Basically, why this is nice is because you can expect consistent returns if running a strat like this with little swings. If you have a strat that returns, like it has a low return investment, but makes a good amount of profit, typically these strats kind of border on the bait territory. I mean, if you spend 4 divs per map and then you have to get like 5-6 divs per map to make a profit, then the problem with that is if you get a bit unlucky, you could actually run at a loss for an hour, 2 hours. Last league, that case was with the curation scarab farming, which costs like 10 divs per map. And yeah, you could maybe get like 12, 13 divs per map and profit, but quite often you wouldn't do that. That's why the return on investment matters. That's why I think this strat could be good for you if you can run it. Try it out. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you like the content, I appreciate a subscription, and you can also leave your suggestions in the comments, or maybe your criticism as well. If you have any ideas on how to min-max this further, I'd be happy to hear it. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.